Peace, wholeness, love, and light. I'm New Diamonds here with a Predator Badlands movie review and breakdown. I hope everyone out there is doing well. And yes, let's deep dive into this, okay? First off, if you had not seen the movie, I suggest you go see it. It was so good. So many different metaphysical things, so many different spiritual things, so many different timelines, so many different things that this movie relates to. It just blew my mind. I felt like, this was a true hero story, a true heroic story. Okay, that Heru story. All right. So if you have not seen the movie, I suggest you do. This is part of the Predator franchise. This is the ninth movie from their franchise in a 9 year. So this is a huge completion of a cycle. And I just love it. I became a big fan of the Predator series and Alien versus Predator. One of my favorite movies. I love just the breakdown, the etymology, how it syncs up with different timelines, how it correlates to different stories. From different time frames, where this is a cosmic battle or a physical battle here on Earth. Is so many different layers to this Predator energy, and I love it. Okay, so yeah, again, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit the notifications. We're about to go in for a deep dive now. First off, this movie starts off with his name is Derek or Deck. Which was, this is someone of the clan, someone of this Jip planet, part of the Predators. And he starts off as someone who isn't really, the leader of the pack. He isn't really someone who is of the strongest, right? They're considering him the weakest. And I love this because this is that underdog, that black sheep, that outcast, that runt of the litter, right? Someone who isn't, seemed as valuable in their family, in their clan, in their tribe, and really wanted to prove yourself, right? Really wanted to live up to your own standards and going on that journey to know thyself, going on this hero journey and all the things that it encounters. Okay, so this is more than meets the eye. I love this whole concept of just proving yourself, as we are those spiritual warriors. And it's like, what are you afraid of, right? Well, you shouldn't be afraid of anything. And that's exactly what he showed in this movie. So I'm going to be looking at my notes because it's a lot, and I don't want to miss anything. Okay, so the movie starts off with Deck from the Ujab clan on a planet that resembles Mars, right? So soon as it starts, you see this planet. It looks like Mars. It's this red dust. It's this orange hue. This orange sunset was giving you this energy of war, right? Mars is that planet of war, that planet of blood, that planet of mentality, consumption, initiation. And I feel like that lets you know everything right there is some type of initiation with war that is about to go on, just from the open cut scene with him being in this desert like energy, right? There's no life here. You got to survive for yourself, survival of the fittest. And it's just a great beginning to a beautiful story. Okay. So like I said, again, it starts off with him and then it goes to another predator. Right. So they're fighting, they're going back and forth, and they're talking, and he's like, yeah, brother. And I'm like, brother, dang, he fighting his brother like this. This is wild, right? I wouldn't be, but it reminds us of that cosmic war, right? Whether this is Enki, Enlil, whether this is Heru, Seth, whether this is Cain, Abel, different cosmic galactic wars that have happened throughout the centuries, throughout eons, throughout nature, throughout generations, right? We all had, I had my fair share of fights with my siblings, right? So right off bat, I'm like, yeah, this is real, right? Brothers and sisters always fight, brothers fight. It's that masculine energy and wanting to prove yourself, especially when it comes to your family and your father, right? Because that's exactly what they were talking about. His brother name was Kawe. Um, and he was just talking about, yeah, father don't see, he don't see you as being valuable. He say you the weakest. So you got to prove yourself, little bro. And he like, all right, come on, let's go. So they fighting, right? And, it was such a good fight, but I'm like, damn, like he not taking it easy on him at all. Like they're fighting to the death. They got their red swords out, right? That warrior energy, that fighting to the death, fighting for the bloodline, right? For the approval of their father, that weight that the older sibling has to raise the younger siblings, right? You got to be tough. You got to do this. You got to, I got to train you. I got to teach you. And then that wanting that approval from that older sibling is that younger sibling like, all right, I'm going to, give it my all and fight to the death. I'm not going to give up, which is essentially what happened. Derek, the Dick, or whatever his name is, because I don't really know how to say his name without it sounding like something else, which I thought was pretty. I feel like a lot of names are unintentional but intentional. And he is on the ground. His brother is like, do you give up? And he like, no, like I don't give up. He like, good. Then he like blows him up and he blows off of a cliff. And his big brother is just, like nonchalant. They don't really have a sense of emotions, right? It's that masculine energy, full blown masculine energy. Some would even call it toxic masculinity. But, this is, that war, that Mars energy. It is about fighting. It is about no emotions. It is about, war and rage. And that's exactly what this scene was, that fight between the two brothers. And he essentially came up. And then he was his big brother started talking mess to him. He was like, yeah. He was like, you still weak. Your daddy. Like, your daddy gonna be upset. Our daddy gonna be upset. And the only way how you gonna get his approval is by going on the mission. So Derek is like, all right, let's go. And his brother Kwali is like, well, what mission do you want? So he's scanning through a whole bunch of different planets to go to. And Derek chooses the hardest one. He was like, I want to go where the Kalik is at. Right. The Kalik is like this big monster, looks like a dragon on the screen. I said, ooh, he about to go tap in with the dragons. We all know what that dragon energy do, right? So I'm like, all right, this is dope. And he like, so you sure? He was like, them Kaliks is one of the hardest. Not even our dad wants to go there to fight them because nobody has ever made it. It's basically a suicide mission. And Derek is like, well, if I go, I'm a die with honor. I'm a die, I'm a get rich or die trying. You know what I mean? But I gotta do this because I want my cloak. I want my cloak of invisibility, and the only way how I can do that is if I get the approval from our father. And his big brother is like, all right, bro, like this is what you want. He like, yeah, he was like, this what I want. And you can't say too much because I saved your ass last time we was on that mission. Right. And he's looking at some old, skulls and old things from war, old trophies from war that they have gotten. And he's just looking at certain things. And his older brother's like, yeah, like you did save me last time. You got some fight in you, but this is a big mission. And right soon as it's getting a little too mushy, I guess, for the audience, they hear a rumbling and like a spaceship come in, and they're both like, it's dad. So they both go outside, and when they both go outside, Khaled is Kwali is like, he approaches his dad and he looks at his dad and his dad is like, he's the weakest link. He's the weakest link in our tribe and he's doing our tribe dishonor. And he's just looking like, him and his brother just looking like, oh, here go pops go again. Like, dang, like, we just talking about this, like, just that sense of knowing that you have to prove yourself. You have so much more to prove, and that sense of urgency to want to prove yourself in order to get the rite of passage from your father, right? And that discipline energy that that masculine energy has. He gives me that sense of that Saturn energy, father Chronos, father time, that discipline, making sure you get that stern teaching, right? I'm not letting up on you. You got to put in the work. And that's another thing that I thought was pretty interesting, is that this movie dropped in Scorpio season, right? The midst of that underworld energy, the midst of that dragon energy, and Saturn is in Pisces right now, and it's all about breaking through illusions and getting your dreams, making your dreams come true. So I like to factor in those aspects because they could have dropped this movie at any time. They dropped it in November in the midst of Scorpio season, with all of these aspects, trying to get that approval, going back into yourself, going back into the mission to accomplish certain things. And they didn't, let us down with that, showing that the father was like, I'm not letting up on you, you know what I mean? And so he tells his son Kwali to do him an honor and kill him. That's the only way how you gonna do our tribe honor, is by killing him. And his father throws out this trap to trap in Deck, and Deck is now on his knees, trapped in with this laser prism. He's trapped in a light prism, which is, that's a whole another breakdown, that whole light prism, and breaking through illusions and being held down by our own fears and disapproval and what other people's thoughts are. So then his brother Khalid walks up to him, pulls out his blade, and he's like, do us honor, bro. Like, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. And you could just see at that moment, I was locked in. I'm like, yo, he about to kill his brother. Like, this is crazy. And it really makes me think of like just biblical stories and certain stories when the father, doesn't approve of the weakest a link in the tribe, and getting rid of them. So right then and there, they had got me, and I was like, wow. So he lifts up his blade and he cuts down, but when he cuts down on the trap, breaking free his brother. And I said, oh yes, that's so beautiful, right? You didn't kill your brother because your dad says so. You let him free, you let him go. And as soon as he hit the trap, his brother was beamed into the ship. So he hit the trap. He pushed a button on his armor, and his brother was beamed into the ship. He was pulled into the ship, locked in a ship. Then his dad just walked up to him like, you disobeyed me, you dishonored me. And they just started fighting. They fight until the dad initially cuts off his son's quality hand. Green blood, etheric blood goes everywhere. And at this point, I'm like, oh, nah, this man is ruthless. It's like, you ruthless, bro. Like, you have no empathy. You have no emotion. You are just, but that's how some, masculine men are. They just don't tap into their emotions. They show no empathy or no sadness. And I was like, wow, like, this is that war energy. By any means necessary, I'm gonna handle my business, even if that means eliminating my own son. So he proceeds to chop off his arm. He chops off his other arm, and he's now on the ground, he's crawling, he's about to die, you know what I mean? And with his last little breath, he then sets up his brother to start his mission. So his brother is in the spaceship, locked up, screaming like, "Dad, no, like, don't kill my brother, like, don't kill your son." And his dad is just engulfed in war. He chops off his son's head, and soon as he does that, Derek is zoomed off into the air, into the sky, and the spaceship takes off to start his mission. Soon as he does that, Derek is pulled, and from the gravity, the weight of the ship taking off, he is thrown off and knocked out. And that's kind of like the beginning of it. I'm like, wow, this is like crazy. So, the spaceship takes off. It starts where he starts to go into the atmosphere of this planet. As soon as they arrive, it's this big red ring, almost looks like Saturn. When he is going to planet Guinea. Okay, so that's the name of the planet where the Cowlix is at, which is the trophy, the thing, the dragon, that energy that he has to get in order to prove his how strong he is to his dad, right? So he's coming in, he starts to wake up because he's coming into their atmosphere. As he's entering the atmosphere, there's a lot of space debris that is hitting his spaceship, and it starts to crack the shield. It starts to makes all of these sounds and alarms. And so he wakes up, he's like, okay, I'm entering in the atmosphere, this spaceship is about to crash. It's basically given he about to die before he even land, y'all. I'm like, damn, you can't even enter in the atmosphere without some type of something going on, right? So I'm like, all right, this is setting the tone. That set the tone off, right? Yo dad don't mess with you. And your brother, it gets unalived due to him wanting you to be greater, right? He sacrificed himself for you, just like you sacrifice yourself for him. And because he know that you are capable, he believes in you, right? So as he starts to see his spaceship crashing, cracking, he starts setting himself up to leave the spaceship. Okay, so he buckles up, he starts to, enter in the atmosphere. He starts to see these animals and, pterodactyls and land and clouds. I'm like, okay, boom, he done broke through the atmosphere. So he ejects himself out of the spaceship, and he's in like this bubble, this aura, and he starts to come down. Now he's coming down extremely fast, right? As he's coming down, it's a whole pterodactyl thing, bird thing that's trying to eat him up. I'm like, dang, he can't even land in the atmosphere. So the pterodactyl thing comes and tries to eat him. Before the pterodactyl thing come and eat him, something bigger than a pterodactyl come and eat the pterodactyl. And I'm like, whoa, like it's going down already. So boom, he crashes. And when he crashes, his whole, his spaceship crashes, his ejector, like cryo state thing crashes, and he rolls out. When he rolls out, he looks around, check his surroundings. It's like, I barely got here. I barely was able to make it here unscathed. And he's just checking out his surroundings, and he's like, okay, he's in a forest. And I'm like, wow, this is, what a great way to start it off. Like, you don't even get to take a breath. You don't even get to catch your breath. You're already in the midst of war, right? You're already in the midst of this land, and you kind of dropping down to this third density. As you come here, you gotta have a fight. It's some type of fight, right? All my life I had to fight, right? So he's observing the forest and he sees these bugs, and he's looking at this bug. It looks like a leech, and he's like, okay. So he touches the leech starts to bubble up. He's like, okay. He throws it. As soon as he throws it, it explodes, and he's like, whoa, okay. So nothing is as it seems here, right? A little leech can kill you, right? Come on now, shout out to my soul tribe. This is metaphysical and metaphoric. So everything that I'm saying, taken to a leech can kill you. Someone who's sucking you dry, right? Someone who's draining your energy could catch you off guard. Even the littlest thing could set off a big bomb, right? So be mindful and watch your environment at all times. And that's exactly what he was doing. He was sitting down on a rock, just looking around. He starts to feel this like eerie feeling, right? He's a predator, right? So he searches for prey. This is what he do. He's on the hunt. He's the, you know what I mean? He's the head honcho. So he's like, I feel like, you can just feel this eerie feeling like something in the jungle watching him. And he could hear things crackling in the background, and he turns around real fast. There's nothing there. As he turned the cutscene, you could see something moving, right? And it looks like the vines of the jungle. And I'm like, ooh, like the jungle is alive. Like this is gonna be interesting. So he comes face to face with a live vine that is trying to, kill him, eat him, take him up, wrap him up. He pulls out his tools. He pulls out his sword. He starts to slice away. As he's slicing, there's even more vines that come, and he's just looking around like, oh my goodness, I'm surrounded, but I'm a warrior. I got this. So he starts slicing away, slicing his, doing his little thug thizzle to get up out of there. And eventually he makes it out unscathed, right? So he's crawling to the top, where he could see there's an open view. There's this platform that he can get out of the jungle. And so he eventually climbs up there. And soon as he climbs out, boom, the title of the movie, Badlands Predator. I'm like, ah, my goodness, this is how it starts off. Amazing. I loved this movie style because it's just, for me, it represents the hero's journey, right? No part of the journey is easy, right? And it starts off with the family, being initiated by the family, being the outcast of the family, and then having to go through your journey in this world, in this realm, still having to fight, still having to prove yourself. And sometimes that journey is by yourself, right? So he's on this alone journey, knowing that he has to collect his prize on his mission, on his journey, regardless if he's doing it by himself, if he's doing it afraid. He don't know where he going, he don't know where he at, but he know he's gonna make it. Okay, so I love that. I loved how it just did the cutscene. It showed a name. I'm like, all right, this is where it starts to get good. So as he is overlooking the Badlands, right, which to me represents, just bad things, negative things, a lower vibration, like I said, 3D realm, hell, right, Badlands, bad things landing, bad things entering. He starts to overlook the landscaping. You can see these big creatures in the background. You can see, the beautiful terrain, right? The beautiful environment, but you know that there is danger. You know that he has a journey upon him, right? It's kind of like knowing that you have a beautiful healing journey ahead of you, and you aren't afraid to go up on your mission, no matter what that looks like. So he starts to make his way down the mountain. He starts to crawl, and he knows that he has to continue his mission. And so he starts to explore. And as he's walking down, he enters into this field. And this field is filled up with a bunch of flowers, right? These flowers. And he noticed every time that he got close to it, they would expand, they would get bigger. So they were kind of like proxy mind flowers. And these flowers had these, I want to say, like needles, like a cactus on them. And he would take a step back, they would get smaller. He would take a step forward, they would get bigger, like they were going to explode. So he was like, okay, don't touch those, right? Being mindful of your environment. He was like, all right, don't touch those, or is something's gonna happen. So he continues to walk carefully through the field. And at this part, this is where they introduce Tilla, who is a Caucasian European cyborg woman. And she yells, Yak Jop, Yak Jop. He looks up like, who is calling my name? What is out here? What could survive out here? He looks up and she's like, Yak Jop, what are you doing here? And he's just looking around. He's like, I fight alone. Like, I'm on this mission alone. And she's like, well, the only thing that you could be here for is the calyx. And we could help each other. If if you help me get down and out of this trap, I can help you find the callus. That's how I got in this position. And he's like, no, I work alone. I hunt alone. And so he initially starts to come back down. As he starts to come back down, the pterodactyl, it's another pterodactyl looking thing circling him, is throwing down rocks to explode the flowers. And Tyla is like, yeah, those are like proxy mind flowers. Once their needles go off and explode, they will paralyze you. And once they paralyze you, that pterodactyl thing will eat you. It will kill you and eat you. And at this point, he's like running. He can hear her, but he's running as this pterodactyl thing is throwing a whole bunch of bombs. All the flowers are going off. He's ducking and dodging. He doing a little Kim, trying to get through. And eventually he gets hit by one. When he gets hit by one, he immediately falls to the ground. He's slowly crawling. He uses one of his knives, throw one of his knives to Tila, as she is caught in a bird's nest. She's trapped, and she is trying to reach for the knife so she can cut her way out. As he is like slowly losing, his ability to move, he just slowly falls and just lays there because he's paralyzed. He can't move. He's looking above. As he's looking above, this pterodactyl thing comes in, gets ready to eat him. And before you know it, the pterodactyl gets tackled. All you see is, Tilla killing him, chopping off his head. Boom. That's pretty much that. So he sleeps, wakes up, and she's like, oh, you're awake, hi. He's like, okay, cool, thank you for helping me. She was like, again, why are you here? He was like, for the callus. She was like, well, I know these parts. I know these jungles. I've been sent here on a mission for my people to explore these lands and to gather up things. You could use me as a tool. And he was like, a tool? And she was like, yeah. He was like, all right, like, okay, I could use you like a tool. That's easy. And for me, this part was so symbolic of, and then mind you, I forgot to tell y'all, the whole time, he wakes up and he sees her. She stands up, he looking down. She's only half a torso. So she doesn't have her legs. So she's like, yeah, the callus rip me apart, and my legs are in a whole nother part where the callus is at. I can show you there. I can take you there. I can help you get to the callus, and you can help me get my legs. It could be a mission we could lock in. And she's like a cyborg again. So she's able to talk, and, she's a robot. So he's like, okay, I could use you as a tool. All right, cool. So soon as that part happened, I just get flashes of like the European woman, and no offense, but this is what I got. The European woman being half of a woman, being less than a woman, and just being seen as a tool, right? Being something that a melanated being or a Moor could use, because if we take it back to certain, times, in Europe, the Moors used, white women. They had them as slaves, and, it was this, using them as a tool thing. So that's kind of what I got. Also, I kind of get, this Caucasian woman cyborg thing being half of a melanated woman, because in the previous Predator movies, they would have the melanated woman, and Sanaya Lathan, she played in the last Predator versus Alien movie, and she survived. She was the only one to survive, right? And they didn't cast her as half a woman. So to me, this was uplifting the divine feminine, the melanated divine feminine, as, the European Canaanite woman is only half and can be used as a tool for a melanated being to gain information, right? So that's just kind of how I took that, as it was very symbolic of, just using certain things as a tool to gain information. Now, on the next part of the journey that they were on, they start to just walk and explore, and she's talking to him, saying, oh, and this part, she's just really explaining to him different parts of, the jungle and the world, and how she is, emotionally connected to the earth. And that really made me think of divine feminine, divine masculine, as he's that warrior S and she is that feminine, caring about nature, getting in tune, studying how things are to communicate with the masculine, on how to maneuver through these Badlands, maneuver through this earth, this world, this realm that they were in. And I thought that was pretty cool. Also, let me see what else I have here in my notes. So yeah, they proceed to just walk through the jungle, and then they come to like this grass area. It was a high grass area, and before he gets ready to step out, she's like, wait, don't walk. And he's like, why? Like, you too cautious, like you afraid. And she's like, no, those blades are made of glass. And immediately, as soon as she says that, he's already trying to like inspect the glass blades, and he grabs it and he's like, whoa, like this is glass. She's like, yeah, there's no way you're gonna get through that. And he's like, you give up too easy. And she's like, no, like it's impossible for people to get through glass blades. And as they're saying that, it's this big, I want to say like elephant rhino type being. And he's like, man, I'm hungry. Like, I'm hungry. Like, I don't care what I got to do to get that thing. I need to eat. So I'm gonna do what I got to do to get it. So in the midst of him, like thinking about how can he get through these blades, there is this little monkey creature that pops up, and it's looking at the rhino elephant thing too. So they both like looking at this rhino elephant thing like, I'm hungry. And Tilla's like, well, I guess you ain't the only one who hungry. And Deck is like, well, I'm not afraid to fight it out. I'm not afraid to fight it out with that little thing. It's just a little thing. So they start fighting, and the little monkey is so strong. She's like, whoa, like I guess he's stronger than he looks. It's keeping up with the predator's strength, and it's a little monkey about the size up to like half his calf, right? So they're like, whoa, okay, like I bet you strong. They was just going toe to toe, and eventually they stop fighting because they like, all right, we just gonna see whoever gets to it first, get to it first. So they started to, race to get to the rhino elephant thing. The predator eventually gets to it first and he kills it. He slices it right down the middle. It was so dope. He sliced it right down the middle with his sword, and then does his victory, dance, does his victory chant where he grabs the skull and the spine of his conquered, things that he's conquered, and holds it up in victory. And the little monkey thing was just looking like, dang, like I was so close to getting it. I was supposed to get it, right? Dang, I'm hungry, right? So they're cheering and celebrating. In the midst of them cheering and celebrating, getting ready to eat, another like weird like animal thing comes up, and it sticks its tongue out and wraps up the predator and Tila up, and it starts to pull them up to eat him. And the monkey sees that they're getting ready to get ate. So the monkey runs up to the thing's mouth, and it turns on its like armor. It turns up into a ball, and the armor basically makes it to where this monster thing can't eat up the predator. So when it goes to eat them, all of the teeth, it gets crushed, and it spits them out, spits the monkey out, and the monkey's just sitting there like, yeah, I saved you. And the predator is sitting there like, dang, like you saved me. Like, all right. But at that point, they formed a bond. They formed a truce. They formed a tribe. And I love that aspect because it reminds me of the lone wolf journey. It reminds me of the chosen one's journey, as we all go on this journey by ourselves. We are all, walking this walk, fighting this battle on our own. And then we kind of link up with Soul Tribe, link up with people on the same mission, to elevate and grow and heal and do whatever it is that they need to do. So I love that part. I thought that was pretty cool. And so they get their food and they go up to a safe place, and they're just, talking and kikiing and cooking their food. And at this moment, the monkey spits in the predator, and the predator like he goes like, like, why is you spitting in my face? What you spitting in my face for? And Tilla's like, no, that's a sign that it's claiming you. It wants you to be a part of its tribe. It loves you. It's, that's a form of endearment. That's a form of bonding with you. And then predator's looking like, all right, like, okay, that's cool. So it was hungry. The predator shared its food with it. They shared a meal. They go to sleep. They wake up. The sun starts to rise. Predator's like, all right, come on, let's go. The sun is rising. Tilla's like, okay, let's get Bud. And Predator's like, Bud. And she's like, yeah, that's what I named it. He's like, you named it Bud? He was like, all right, Bud. He's like, I hunt alone. She was like, what do you mean you hunt alone? I'm with you. He said, you a tool. And he picked her up and put her on her back and kept it pushing. And she was so mad. She was so mad. She was like, he saved us. He saved us. Like, if it wasn't for Bud, if it wasn't for the little monkey, we wouldn't even be alive to eat. And the predator was like, oh, well, I don't care. I hunt alone. I came here for the calyx. And so, Tilla's still upset. She's like, where I'm from, they have animals called wolves. And it's funny because I was already thinking that. I'm like, yo, they're like wolves in a pack. So when she said that, I'm like, yeah, it it resonates deeply. She was like, where I'm from, we have animals called wolves, and wolves go in packs, and they have a thing called the alpha, which is, the leader of the pack. And the predator is like, ooh, that must be the one that kills the most. And Tilla's like, no, that's the one, that's the leader that makes sure everyone is safe, everyone is protected, everyone is good. And then Predator is looking like, well, I'm gonna be an alpha and I'm gonna make sure I kill the most. And Tilla's just like, whatever. Like, you tripping. You on some crazy war stuff right now. And I'm still upset that you left Bud. You left our little monkey friend back there. So they finally get to camp. And well, yeah, they finally get to camp. And once they get to camp, they find what she was looking for. They find her legs. And he's like, okay, cool, like, you found your legs. She's like, yeah, you're gonna have to leave now. And he like, what you mean I'm gonna have to leave? Where's the calyx? She was like, you gotta find it on your own. My team gonna know I'm here, because I sent the signal to them. You should leave. He's like, you betrayed me. Like, you lied to me. You said the calyx was gonna be here. She was like, well, you just need to leave, because once my team get here, it's gonna be a whole nother thing. And he was like, all right, man, bye. So he leaves. He walks out. When he walks out, he notices that it's tracks of the calyx. And he's like, oh, okay, the calyx is here. So he noticed that everything was flammable at the site, because the site, when they got there, looked burned down, which showed, signs of war, signs of colonization, and disrupting the old foundation, because they came there uninvited, trying to get this calyx thing, and the calyx thing destroyed their campsite. So it was a lot of gas and flammable things around. So he was like, okay, this ain't flammable. I'm about to light it on fire. So he get his sword, boom, light it on fire. Soon as he lights it on fire, the camp explodes. Everything explodes. And all you hear is a big ass rumble. And Tila, she like, oh, like, you could tell she already know what it was. It was a calyx. And the calyx comes up, and it looks at the predator, and the predator see the calyx, and predator do this roar, and then the calyx do an even bigger roar. It sound like a big ass siren. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. But you still can't really see the full face of the calyx, because it's so smoky. He just exploded everything, but you could see how big it was. It was enormous. So they're fighting. He runs up to it, runs under it with his knife, slices it under, but it's not dying. I'm like, wow, this is one strong thing. It ain't died. He runs up behind it, cuts off his tail, and the tail starts to regenerate. I'm like, oh, how the hell is the predator going to beat this thing when it's regenerative? Like, it can regenerate, right? And so he comes up with this plan. He's like, all right, I'm gonna get the tail stuck in the door. I'm gonna close the door. I'm gonna run up his back. Then I'm gonna go up on the top of his head. And when he ran up on the top of his head and sliced the head off, he was like, yeah, I won. Next thing you know, the head and the body start to connect again. And I'm just sitting there like, okay, what you gonna do now? Like, it's no way that you can win, because this thing regenerates, right? So he's just sitting there like, okay, what the hell? The calyx traps him, pins him down, and the calyx is getting ready to eat him. Right, it's on top of him, getting ready to eat him. It gets closer, and then it starts to sniff him, and it's sniffing him like what? Oh, like, I can't kill you. And I'm like, what the hell? What do it smell? Right. And immediately they, zoom out, and it has the same nose as the monkey. And I'm like, Oh, the monkey must be, the monkey marked it, right? So they're part of like the same tribe, so it can't kill it, right? I'm like, oh yay, the monkey. Like they should have never like forgot about the monkey, because that's what saved the monkey saved him, and it wasn't even there. So I'm just like, wow. So in the midst of that realization, the Tessa, who is Tilla's sister, comes up. She throws a frozen bomb, right? A nuclear frozen bomb that freezes everyone. So she throws this bomb, boom, it freezes the big old calyx. It freezes Derek, and they're all frozen. Tessa looks at Tilla, and Tilla looks at Tessa, and they're like, victory, like, good job, you did it, you got the calyx, you got this York job, we got to take them both in. So it cuts to a scene, and where you could just see Derek, and he's just laying down on his table, and he starts to wake up. Once he wakes up, he's chained down. So he's now a prisoner of war, right? Prisoner of war. He's locked up. He can't move. He's strapped in, and he's trying to move. He can't move. He like, what the hell? He look over. He see Tilla. She is offline, right? So her upper torso is on this shelf, and she's turned off, right? She isn't activated and able to talk. So he's like, what the hell's going on? Like, I can't get out. He starts yelling, and as he yells, the Tessa, she comes in, and she plugs up Tilla. And when she plugs up Tilla, she gets all of this information. She downloads information on her mission, because like I said, she's a cyborg. And she's like, okay, boom, mission complete, we got everything that we needed. Tilla, what else what else information do we need? Why is the Yorjaba still alive when all the other ones got killed when it was in the midst of that calyx? And she was like, I don't know. It's, I can't really explain why, but this one is different. And so Tessa's like, well, why is he different? And we're gonna have to take him in for some specimens. We're gonna have to take some samples. And so you could tell that Tilla didn't want him to be taken in to be a slave. So she starts, making up excuses as to why, oh, he's malfunctioned, oh, he doesn't have this, oh, he this, oh, he that. And Tessa is like, well, I'm gonna see for myself. So she gives him a shot. She injects him with some stuff, some regenerative juice to like heal him. He starts screaming while he's chained down. And then she puts in these little like, I want to say like plugs in his ears. So she put these plugs in his ears to get information from his brain. And then she also puts a scan over his brain so she could see his brain. And you can see his brain just lighten up as he's intaking the injection that they gave him. And also as she's like doing this electrical like torture that she's doing to him. So you could see all of his neurons in his brain lighting up. He's screaming. He's going crazy. He like, yo, get me out of here. Like, you tricked me. And Tila's like, well, maybe, we're sisters. We could be sisters. And Tessa looks at her and she's like, sisters? Girl, I'm just following a mission. I'm just getting my mission complete. I'm not, about to be your sister. And so, let me finish my job. Actually, y'all gotta go inside the cage. So she tells her minions, her other little cyborg workers, to grab both of them and lock both of them up. And just grab some of his weapons to study the weapons. And so once the army, her little minions, her army minions come in, they're examining his weapons. And she is speaking, Tilla is speaking to Derek, the predator. And the army guy is like, why are you talking to him? And she was like, oh, I'm, asking him, what are these weapons for? And so the army guy looks and he's like, yeah, well, what are these weapons for? And the predator, he's like, tell him, he was like, those are toys for kids, but you could tell him it's a map. And she was like, oh, okay. She was like, it's a map. And the minion was like, well, how do I unlock it? And the predator was like, well, tell him to look at it. And so he looked at it, boom, his head explode. I'm like, yeah, get up out of there. So his head explode. As soon as his head explode, he is unable to unlock himself. He unlocks himself and he breaks out. He jumps out of the truck, the tank that they have him in, and he's back in the jungle. But he knows that Tilla is still in captivity. So at this point in time, he's in the jungle, but it's kind of like, all right, I know my way around here. This ain't my first rodeo. This ain't my first lifetime, right? I know how to go about this mission now. And I'm still on my mission. I still came here for the callus because I need my cloak of armor. I ain't forget the mission. I just got to go about it the right way. And I need to get to that callus. And I know that they got the callus, right? So he's in the jungle. He's gathering up all of these things that he remembers from his journey. So he remembers the slugs that blew up. So he's gathering slugs that blew up. On another part of his journey, they were in this river with these slugs that would fight if you feed them. They would fight for you. They were loyal to you if you feed them. So he gathered up them and put those on his back. And then one thing that he noticed was he encountered the monkey. So he was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna need the monkey, because he put two and two together that the callus didn't kill him when it sniffed him because it smelled the monkey spit. That was the only thing that could have saved them. So he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna need the monkey because this is obviously its baby, right? So he takes the monkey with him. He was like, yo, we tried. And he sits down and he spits on the monkey, and the monkey just looking at him like, he wiping his face like, all right, like it's all good, right? Which is basically, the monkey was a baby callus, okay? Which blew my mind, because I'm like, wow, this whole time you trying to leave somebody behind, but you don't know you need them part of your mission. They part of Soul Tribe, okay? So as he starts to, gather up all the tools that he needs to do a break-in to camp, him and the baby callus, Bud, the monkey, they're just talking and coercing like, okay, you gonna do this, I'm gonna go in like this, we gonna do this, and then we're gonna break in. But before we break in, we gotta get Tilla, because Tilla knows the codes to break into free the callus. Okay, so they're like, all right, boom, they break in, they doing all type of Mission Impossible. They on stealth mode, killing all the robots, as he sent in Tilla's legs to be a distraction. So all of the guards are seeing her legs and they getting ready to shoot, but not knowing that the predator and the baby callus were attacking them before they could even, set the alarm off. So eventually they get to Tilla, and they break her free. And as they break her free, they're like, okay. She like, all right, thank you so much for coming back for me. He was like, yeah, I'm the alpha. Like, yeah, we part of the tribe. I'm wolf, right? If you said we try, and I got your back. I came here to free you. Now go take care of the callus. Go free the callus, right? Because I got her baby. And Tilla's like, what? And she's like, Bud. She was like, Bud's a baby? She was like, Bud's a baby callus? And she was like, Predator's like, yes. So boom. All right, we got our ammo, we got our ammunition. That's gonna lock us in, right? So Tilla goes to free the callus, and she frees the callus. The callus breaks free. By the time they break free, Tessa starts to notice that there's chaos. So she's like, all right, let me gear up for war. Let me get ready for war. She's a cyborg as well. So she taps into like this juggernaut type of thing where there's this big ass machinery that can handle big predators. Okay. So she comes out, um, and the predator is fighting Tesla. Okay, so Tesla and the predator going at it. Predator's losing at this point because he getting beat up by this thing. He jumps on the front, tries to break the glass, and once he breaks the glass, Tesla's like, "Well, what you gonna do to me?" And then the big ass callus comes out, and it eats Tessa. Okay, so it eats Tessa. They're like, "Yay, we won!" Like, woohoo, we won. The whole movie is over, and yay, victory for us. And then they reunite the baby Tessa with the big Tessa, and I'm like, wow, this thing was a woman this whole time, which gave me a sense of that divine feminine primordial water, that dragon energy, that ferocious energy. But when it comes to my baby, like, I love my baby, like, so they reunite, and it's this beautiful, just peaceful moment for like 5 seconds, because after that the calyx started choking. It's like coughing up air. It's like you see the whole skin start to turn red, and then it freezes and explodes. And they're like, "What?" Everybody's like, "What the hell?" And Tessa comes out. She's like, "I returned from the," I'm like, "Oh hell no!" Like, if they don't kill Tesla right now, that don't make no sense. She done regenerated herself inside of this thing and killed it from the inside out, and it was frozen, right? So you can't regenerate if you're frozen and shattered into a million pieces. So I was like, wow, what are they gonna do now? So they beat up Tessa, right? Eventually they cut off Tessa's head, and Tessa's done for. So they're like, all right, boom, we the three amigos, we three the hard way. I got, Predator's like, I got my trophy. Like, I know I got the calyx, and I did what I had to do. So he starts to head back home. Now, when he heads back home, soon as he get off the ship, his dad approaches him. His dad looking at him, and he don't say nothing. He just looking at him, and then a predator, Derek, throws bones of the calyx, and his dad is like, "What is this?" And he's like, "This." Derek is like, "Well, this is my souvenir. This is my souvenir from my war. I want my cloak." And the dad is like, "You weak. Like, you ain't getting no cloak. You'll be better off fighting me to the death, because you're a weakling. You ain't gonna never get your cloak." And so they start fighting, you know what I mean? He starts fighting his dad, and his dad can't even really keep up with him, because along on his journey, he's gotten tougher, he's gotten smarter, he's more elevated in combat. He done went up a level, right? He done prestiged on his progress on his mission, and he's more of a harder challenge to fight. He's not that weakling no more after his journey, after completing his mission. And he chops off his dad's hand. Boom. I'm like, ooh, he didn't got the best of him, right? You didn't chopped off your daddy hand. His dad just like, damn, like, okay. Then he come, they still fighting. His dad, cloaks himself to make it a little harder for him to fight. And the predator throws up some dust so he could see him. He sees him, boom, stabs him right in the head, and his cloak come off, and he just like, his dad just looking like, oh shit, like I guess I didn't really know who I was going against. And Derek opens up his arm, and he takes his trap, and he throws his dad in a trap. So now his dad is exactly in the same spot that he was when he first tried to kill him. And his dad starts to plea. He was like, I surrender. I give up. You would make a great part of the tribe. You make a great part of our team. And the predator says, I'll never join your tribe. I got my own tribe. And then the callus comes in and eats his dad's head. And I'm like, oh yes, Ashe, divine justice right there. I hate it for him, but you know what? That karma is a bee, right? Karma's a bee. So, the baby Callus, the baby monkey, was now like a teenage monkey, and it was huge. It was getting big, and they just sit there, and Tess, Tila comes out, and there is just the three of them, right? And I'm like, okay, this is like bad. This is badass, right? This is Badlands, right? They didn't won. He came back. He got his victory. After the dad was killed, he got his cloak of invisibility off of his dad's armor, put it on his armor, made sure it worked. Boom, he cloaked. Boom, he came back. He was like, all right, cool. So they just looking at this dust, and then they start to see a spaceship come in. And Tilla's like, what's that? And the predator is like, that's my mother. Boom, the movie end. I said, oh, snap. Return of the Divine Mother, right? Return of the Divine Mother. So I'm like, wow, they most definitely got to have another one. It was such a great movie. You guys, please let me know what your thoughts are. I just love this aspect on his hero's journey, and having to go through this journey alone and linking up with like minds to complete the mission and working better together, right? Each one teach one, piece to the tribe, because we all bring a piece to the tribe, right? We all have our own unique gifts, our own unique attributes that we all come together and put together, and it makes us a sense of wholeness, right? It makes this wholeness, and the picture is much, much, much bigger. It's bigger than us. Our mission is bigger than us, and the more we come together, the more that will be in the forefront, the more we'll be able to realize that. And also breaking through illusions of certain things, breaking through illusions of fear. Oh snap. Breaking through illusions of fear. I'm sorry, y'all. My lamp. That was weird. That was weird. But my lamp was falling. Okay, breaking through illusions of fear, breaking through the light. The light is falling. Like I said, the return of the Divine Mother is here. And it's just, these things, that have to happen in order for us to get those stripes, for us to get our trophy, for us to be enlightened and working together as a tribe. As like I said, this is a galactic thing. This is things that's been going on for centuries upon eons, whether this is ancestral, galactic, or on the earth. There's always been a battle, a war for power, right? And for a sense of righteousness and to belong, to fit in. But you got to earn your stripes, and you can't miss no steps on a journey, because all of those steps are necessary for you to get to the next level, for the next step. Also a great sense of that divine protection, that divine warrior and not giving up, that divine mother returning, right, and fighting for justice and doing what's right in order to find balance within the family, and in order to restore balance within yourself so you could uplift yourself. Okay, so yes, that is my Predator Badlands breakdown video and review. Please let me know what you guys think. Let me know some of y'all highlights if you've seen the movie, some of your favorite parts of the movie. I love this movie. It was so good. I'm going to run it back and rewatch it again. If you haven't watched it, I suggest that you do. It was a good one, okay? But yeah, drop some gems on me. If you've seen some things esoterically or metaphysically that stood out to you, please let me know. All right. This was also a sense of fighting against certain systems, certain cyborgs, certain technology that may be trying to destroy the mitochondria of the melanated woman, right? That's what another thing that I took from, right? As those genes can't be restored without the Eve gene, without the mitochondria, without the original DNA, without the original primordial water, that melanated woman, that divine feminine essence that is, so-called ferocious, that even the tech can't keep up with. It has to be destroyed from within, right? So there was a lot of things that were going on within this movie that I just thought was great. And like I said, a lot of metaphysical things, a lot of subconscious things that have to deal with everything on every level. But again, you guys drop some things down in the comments that you liked. Again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification so you can know when I'll be dropping another video. And I love y'all so much. Peace, wholeness, love, and light. And I catch you on the next one.